All right, so I want to invite Justin to invite Trailblazers to show what they've been doing in the last few months. So give a big welcome to Justin.
Thank you. And, if anyone has a throat lozenge, please give the drawer. You could use it. So, good morning. This is our member showcase. So, welcome. My name is Justin Pozmanter. I'm a member of the ecosystem development team at Velocity, which basically means I work with a membership. Unlike Dror, unlike Eitan, unlike Andres, I haven't been here from the beginning of this. I've been here a little more than 2 months. In that time, I've learned a couple of things. The first is, and I mean this sincerely, our membership is remarkable. Every time I get a little bit overconfident, a little bit cocky, I get a question, I hear a comment, which makes me realize once again that I know nothing and I need to learn a lot more. And I really want to thank you for that. That dynamism is what makes this job fun. It's what makes me realize that this is going in the right direction. The second thing I've learned is, I think what's been said about 14 times already in the last 2 hours, is about the importance of collaboration. It's very clear to me that things move forward when all of you are talking to each other, sharing and learning from one another. And that really is the meaning of this session. But I just want to take it one step further. Eitan before asked all of you to speak with one another a lot while you're here, during breaks, drinks, whatever it may be, build relationships. Now, if that happens, that's wonderful. This is a successful 2 days. My background is in advocacy and policy and lobbying, so I always push my luck and ask for one thing more. And I would say, if all you do here is learn everything that's said on stage, talk to each other while you're here, that's good, that's a success. But a real success is if what you learn here and the relationships you build are simply a stepping stone and the first step to long-term relationships with one another, where you will continue to collaborate and build upon the network and build collaboration over the coming weeks, months, and in the coming year until we hopefully meet for our next conference going forward. So just two housekeeping items. Number one, in terms of Q&A for this session, assuming there is any, rather than chopping it up, because we have 5 speakers, we'll have everyone give their presentations, and if there's questions, we'll have everyone ask questions at the end. And then secondly, because of the current world we live in, 3 of our speakers who we hoped would be here are not. So we have 2 of our 5 speakers today will present here in person. 1 has recorded a short video, which we will show, and 2 will be presenting via Zoom on the screens. And then we have another session with another 4 or 5 companies presenting tomorrow. So with that, I'd like to ask Jocke Managelin from Aon to come up to be our first presenter.
This one. So first, a quick bit of context of Aon Human Capital Solutions. Most people know Aon. I was happy that someone mentioned broker. I think most people know Aon as more as a broker than as a human capital solution provider. What we basically do, and that's the next slide. I will provide the slides myself. So what we basically do is we collect people data, we collect workforce data, and we do that in the end to help organizations taking better decisions. So Aon these days is in the business of taking better workforce decisions. We do that in 3 ways, if I keep it short. We do that by collecting continuously a lot of data around performance, around reward, around compensation, and we do that providing people assessments. We do those people assessments in worldwide, basically in 3 big hubs, North America, Europe, and India. We do that with soft skills assessments, as most people know, and we do that with hard skills assessments, so coding assessments, those kind of things. And in the end, what we try to do, this is also the reason why I joined Aon, is that what we're doing is we're trying to combine all this data across the workforce. So we're not just, as I'm based in the assessment world, we're not just a test provider who's doing good assessments to predict the performance of people for jobs, for careers, for their, I would say, career pathing, but we try to do that combined. So if you're looking for, let's say, someone in retail, a store manager, We can help you with explaining what skills this person would need, what competencies they would need, where they're based, how much you can pay them. We have information on retention, we have information on engagement, we have information on wellness, those kind of things, and we can help there. And in the end, we can also assess them. I joined 15 months ago, and one of the great things, at least I felt, was I could also join the Velocity Foundation. But I think it's really incredible, and that was basically previously the previous discussion, is the philosophy, is the dream, the ambition. Unfortunately, I was asked to have a very pragmatic session, so not talk about this dream, and basically about what the vision is and what the strategies could be. I think that's also basically the biggest challenge. At least if I look at Aon, we have people who believe the vision, who believe the dream of what Velocity should bring, but we also have a lot of people who are quite pragmatic, as in, okay, how can we build that into our solutions tomorrow? What does it offer to our clients? How can we combine it with our commercial model? What does it do there? I think that was one of our biggest challenges. I will quickly show you what we did. For us, for me, the whole blockchain Velocity is about ownership of data for individuals. I heard people talk about B2B, B2C, all those kind of things. For me, the core is it should empower individuals to get the most out of their working life. And Velocity helps there. If it's about assessments, should be owned by individuals. It's about performance data, compensation data, retention, well-being. All this data is about individuals. And we should only do something with it if it's good for individuals. So we should not just do assessments because you want to hire someone, because you want to develop someone. You should do assessments because you as an individual enjoying doing these assessments, and it's helping you in taking better decisions in your working life. And this all helps. That for me is the vision. That's the most important thing. The next challenge is how do you make that fly within a company as Aon? Basically, that was socializing. Aon has 50,000 colleagues. I've been there now for 15 months. I don't know all of them. But it's basically to make sure that people also higher up in the food chain understand the dream, understand the vision. Also understand how in a few years it will impact our business. How it will not just impact our business, how it will impact the world of work. And how we should be part of that. So it's educating, socializing, doing all fun stuff around compliance, explaining people, okay, we're now a node operator. How do we put that in the books? How do we evaluate that? We don't. Nobody really has those answers. It's about new technology, which many people not fully understand. And how do you combine that within a company as Aon? Where you have many, I would say, visionary people, but again, also the pragmatism of tomorrow, which is not always easy to combine. So the next step was being a node operator and to figure out how can we start small. And starting small for me means that we keep it in the assessment business, although the promise is a lot bigger than just purely focused on assessments. And thinking about assessments, of how would that work if an individual would do an assessment and we would share the results with this individual, how can you reuse those assessments for all the jobs? Sounds easier than it is, because if you normally do an assessment, then you need to think about the interpretation, the matching with the job, there's an algorithm behind it, so that's quite complicated. So we decided to make it even a bit smaller and think about we train, credentialize, we certify people to use specific assessments, which is just basically a training and a certification. If we would do it like that, it would help us to create the technology and to get experience with how does it actually work, just to get some lessons learned. So we decided to focus on ADAPT 15, one of our, I would say, flagships personality questionnaire, where we have a lot of, it's being used worldwide, as you can see. There's a lot of impact, we have a lot of data around it, and it's basically one of the more advanced tests that you have across the world in the field of assessments. But to understand it, you need to be trained. There are reports that you can use, of course, that are for candidates, for employers, that are easy to interpret, but if you really want to go into the detail and understand it, you need to get a course. For this course, we can certify you. So what we did, we looked at internally, not per se externally, to keep it safe. How many people do we already have that are certified? Can we just invite them to download the certification on their wallet? Not because it's directly valuable, but it's learning us how does the technology work. So can we build Can we issue a credential? Can we build that technology so we can reuse it afterwards for a commercial use case? But initially, it was purely focused on internal people who are trained to use a specific questionnaire, and they can be proud to show it in their wallet. Hey, I'm trained, and I can share it with whomever I want. Created this email, someone did, which explained really well, hey, we work at Aon Human Capital Solutions. We want to be innovative. We don't know exactly how this technology will work. We believe in the vision. We believe in the strategy. But we need to get experience. We need to get it rolling. So we need to do something. And this is basically in the safe environment to kickstart the innovation. It included a short PowerPoint where people could just see, okay, hey, you can download the wallet. You can do it on Android. You can do it for Apple. You have to register. You have to verify your email and phone, your working email, so your Aon email, otherwise it doesn't work. We did this, I think you mentioned it, this batch upload. So it was not a process where it was linked actually to our live database, to our live systems, but it was purely an Excel file with names, people trained, when they were trained and certified. This was put in motion. So if people are registered, they can claim their credential, and they have it in their wallet. Quite simple, quite straightforward. And the fun part was that they were amongst the first people worldwide to have something in their digital wallet, which is, for many people, quite a cool thing. We asked, that's what we did do, our design team to come up with a good badge, so it looks nice. We went live on the 6th of July, so that was quite short. We invited mostly Aon colleagues. There were a few outside of Aon who used to work at Aon, which was fine as well. Quite straightforward with this batch upload. Invitations to 350 people were a reminder. And we are now approximately, I don't know exactly to be honest, because I didn't check yesterday, but approximately 100, 150 people who issued their credential and have it in their wallet. Which I think is really great. The number is not that high, but it shows us that, hey, the technology works. And the turnaround time is actually quite short. So it's quite easy now for us to do something else with more of a commercial usage. Of course, we can include it if we train external people, but that's like a nice add-on. We don't earn a dime more because of it, but it does show again that we can do this innovation and that we can start thinking about, okay, how can we really get it into a commercial use case? So some lessons, especially the socializing and education, that takes time, and that's also extremely annoying in all honesty. I'm quite impatient by nature to keep on being able to explain people, no, it's not cryptocurrency, no, we don't take any risk, all those kind of things that you would maybe expect or not expect. There are a lot of conversations needed. Yeah. Especially when we did the first step being a node operator. I think the deadline was on the 31st of December. I think we got in there at, 2 o'clock, something like that. Having all conversations with a lot of really relevant people during Christmas and New Year, everybody on holiday, but still we need to get approval to go live. The good thing is, once you're live, it's more difficult to revert. So even if you haven't tackled everything, once you're live, you're live. So you don't get any more questions. So people buy into the vision. Most people buy into the vision because it's quite straightforward. What the guys and girls, women just shared, I think is really inspiring. I think that is really great. And you can do that with everybody because it 100% makes sense. Of course, this is the future. We don't know how quickly we can make money out of it. Or we don't know how it will disrupt assessments, for instance. Think about if you reuse an assessment, so we can only sell one credit because we cannot sell it again. And I'm sure there are solutions for it. It will happen anyway, so either if you're against it or not, you better make sure that you're one of the first so you can think about how you can use it. And even more important, but that's also as an individual, I think it's good. I think it's good for people, good for the world of work, that we do these kind of things. Why would you do these assessments every day, every time again and again, if you can reuse them? If you can come up with a way that they're more valuable. And for us, I think that's the most important thing. We need to be one of the front runners there. So start small, I think that's important. Nothing high profile, focus on building experience. A little bit under the radar, sometimes that helps. Yes, and it creates all these practical questions. I still have a lot of meetings with cybersecurity. They want to do pen testing, they want to do all kinds of things. But again, the good thing is we're live. So either if you move the meeting, they will not revert it anymore. Also this week even, I think this morning, new technology requires testing. We still find bugs, which is also really good that we did it internally. I think it's also good for velocity to get it rolling, because there were bugs, and there are always bugs with new technology. That's no secret, and that's all fine. So it just requires more use cases, more testing, ideally in a safe environment. Possible next steps for us, all the certifications, because that's the easy one. We have something that we call the Human Sustainability Index, which is one of our great new tools, but you need to be certified to work with it. Certification is easy. We can do that now. I don't know, I would assume that we can do that in a day. Reusability of assessment results, how does that work? Especially in the business case, so we don't make money out of the credits, but we do still make money out of the algorithm and the knowledge we have to think about good matching or good career pathing. That's not what you get with a straightforward assessment result. So there's plenty of stuff there. Probably we will start with easy to interpret assessments. So assessments can be around personality, which is more complex, but assessments can also be around skill-based testing. I think there are many people here with some knowledge on skill-based testing, where you get a score. It's about proficiency. It's easy to share. So if someone does a coding test and we say, hey, you have potential to code, or it's about a specific coding language, we can give you a score. And that's easy to share and to interpret. And next step is we need to explore more complex and job-specific assessment output, how to do that. And even more interesting, what about pay and reward? We have a big business in rewards, in compensation information, in data. So we collect it via surveys. How great would it be if we can work together with individuals, also to add them more value, to give them more insights? I think all next steps for us to explore. Thank you. Questions will be afterwards, I understand.
Before I move back to Justin, I just have to say, Ilko, Aon is the first member ever, other than Yoti, who are doing identity, where's the Yoti team, and Velocity, to be issuing real career credentials on the Velocity network, and I want to thank you and the team for the amazing work.
Thank you.
All right, so as I mentioned, some of our speakers are not here. Next, here's a short video from Andrew Consulu, Vice President of Marketing at Jobvite. Give us 1 second. I'm not sure the sound's not playing on this side. as we try to figure all this out, I think what we're going to do is we're going to skip for the moment the people on Zoom as we try to figure out the volume. And as soon as he's ready, we're going to ask Marty Reed from Randa to come up.
The facility said they are having we cannot project audio. They have this problem. There's no for the microphone. Okay.
All right, morning everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit. We did have a short video, but since the audio is not working, I'm just going to skip past that. So I'm Marty Reed, CEO of Randa Solutions. We build statewide platforms for teacher effectiveness, including statewide licensure for teachers. And so it was natural for us to build a teacher wallet, which is a purpose-built approach to agency. And so I heard a little bit about agency earlier today versus ownership, and I think that's a very, very important topic, a very, very important concept, because, for example, teachers don't own their licenses. The states own teachers' licenses. And so that is a very contentious area. But what are we doing? Well, the crisis that we're trying to tackle is there's real documented shortage of teaching candidates. And the pandemic has really changed the narrative around where a teacher can teach. So schools spent probably about 5 years trying to implement a one-to-one technology approach. One-to-one meaning every student in every classroom has a device that they can use online. Pretty much overnight, nationwide in the US, one-to-one was implemented. It was impressive, but then you had a whole new set of challenges around teaching. For example, Utah had to onboard 100 special ed teachers from California in order to serve their population because they simply couldn't service that many students with a virtual teaching option. And so that was a big aha moment in the teaching ecosystem. But then at the end of the day, you have to license those teachers. So those 100 teachers that I spoke about, they had to be licensed in Utah to teach special ed. And what does that look like? Well, that looks like this. So this is 20 years of credentials. So you want to talk about a teacher wallet. This is a teacher wallet today. It's a folio of documents, PDFs, physical documents that have to be visually inspected by an individual and input into another system. That's today's world. And in most licensure applications, most licensed professions, this is how it's done. And so we have a direct relationship, a direct verification process at the state level to handle this as it's done today. But we had to take kind of a pragmatic approach with Teacher Wallet. So what are we trying to solve? We're trying to solve a real world problem, streamline the license process. So those papers that I showed you, that takes 6 weeks to most likely 3 months for a licensure specialist to actually get to that set of documents, review them, input them, verify that they were sent by the authoritative source. And so we have to streamline that process. Getting teachers in the classroom is one of the simplest approaches to solving the teacher shortage problem. The other is giving them agency over their data. As I mentioned, teachers don't own their licenses. States own their licenses, but you can give them agency. You can give them the opportunity to communicate those credentials to districts, to other states, and give them the opportunity to really maximize their impact. Because the one thing that teachers want to do is impact students. That's it. It's very, very simple. They're not in it for the money. You hear that over and over again. It is true. They want to impact as many students as possible. Those credentials that I showed you earlier, she is licensed in 5 states. She has been in 5 different state organizations, and she maintains all those licenses because it's easier to maintain them than it is to get them again. And then finally is connecting those candidates to career opportunities and advancements. So I mentioned the SPED student, the SPED teachers in California. There's a huge push in the teaching ecosystem around apprenticeship. So apprenticeship was just approved as a federally funded apprentice program, and so there's a lot of movement into, how do you make a paraprofessional or, teaching assistant? How do you get them upskilled and reskilled to move up to that teaching level in the classroom? So next, I would show you a video of the teacher wallet, and Kimberly Linson, our director of teacher credential ecosystems, would talk to you about it. But there's no audio, so I'm not going to do that. All right, we may be able to do that. Let's see if we can do that. Space bar anything? There we go. Thank you very much. Technology assistance. No pressure.
Welcome to Teacher Wallet,
Oh,
a
okay.
purpose-built solution
There she
to
is.
allow teachers agency over their professional credentials, giving them
Let's
both
see.
portability and mobility
Hang
in this
on.
new
Get it here in a minute. Now, let me pull the content from here. Okay.
Welcome to Teacher Wallet, a purpose-built solution to allow teachers agency over their professional credentials, giving them both portability and mobility in this new 21st century educational landscape. Architected and developed by the team at Randa Solutions, Teacher Wallet has been recognized by the Department of Education through the American Council on Education's Blockchain Innovation Challenge, and it is the exclusive wallet provider for ETS Praxis, a foundational assessment that serves as the critical entry point for educators entering the workforce. Today, I invite you to follow along with Vera, a licensed specialist at Utah State Board of Education, as she requests and verifies the Praxis results for a licensure candidate using Teacher Wallet. First, Vera sends a proof request to the candidate via Teacher Wallet. The candidate receives email notification that they have a request for their Praxis credential. The candidate chooses to submit the requested credential by scanning this QR code. Vera receives an email notification that she has a proof request response. She is taken to the verifier page where she is able to review the credential contents and import the Layer 2 credential and any necessary evidence into the licensure workflow system. As the system of record for multiple states with over 21 million credentials, We understand that credentials are often complex. For this reason, Teacher Wallet uses the IMS Global, now One Ed Tech, Comprehensive Learner Record, CLR, standard as a universal transport mechanism and wraps each assertion as a W3C verifiable credential. The Velocity Network can consume and present this type of Layer 2 credential as was intended by the issuer, regardless of the different standards used. Now that Vera is satisfied this credential is correct and authentic, she can review the rest of the necessary credentials to issue a teacher license. By inspecting verifiable credentials, Vera speeds up the time it takes to issue a new teacher's license from weeks to 48 hours, putting teachers in classrooms faster with more confidence. Teacher Wallet, the educator's digital identity solution.
So you will note that that's not a mobile native wallet, and the reason for that is because we really focus on meeting the market where they're at. And the market today in teaching is a web-based wallet. And so our approach is a web-based wallet, then really focusing on the verifier, because that's where the bottleneck is. The bottleneck is not the teacher taking the assessment, the bottleneck is not the teacher getting their assessment results. The bottleneck is assessment results arriving in a verifiable way to a verifier that they can consume programmatically into the system. So right now, in a lot of cases, you get PDFs, they're not named properly, you can't programmatically consume them, and so this is just taking the next logical step forward. So why? It's a huge focus for state and federal government to prioritize solving the teacher shortage. National Student Clearinghouse, we're collaborating with them on a statewide platform in Kentucky where we're programmatically consuming and verifying those credentials into that statewide licensure system directly out of Clearinghouse. So again, reducing friction, reducing time to live, reducing stacks of paper that are unidentified until a person visually inspects them. ETS Praxis, which you saw, has multiple tiers to that credential. There's 4 different components to that assessment. Those 4 different components equal to 4 different endorsements for that teacher that must go on that teaching license. Verification through a VC is 6 to 10 times faster. It just is, a lot of technologists in the room, is faster to programmatically verify than it is to have to visually inspect. And finally, connecting vacancy data with candidates becomes a real approach. So until now, you didn't really have a programmatic way to align the candidate resource with the vacancy in a school district. So through our implementation, now we can. So why Velocity? One is what really intrigued me about Velocity was the layer 1, layer 2 approach. So a lot of chains out there, a lot of ecosystems or networks or whatever you want to call them, do not have a productive layer 2 approach. And what that means is you have to publish the schema and definition for every little difference that you have in a credential. And that just is not scalable. And so we take a firm stance on layer 1, programmatically communicating the important verification components, then layer 2, the payload that is ingestible, but that is verified by that layer 1 approach. Number 2 is the employers and recruiters are credential consumers, and Velocity's done great work of recruiting and aligning with those employers and recruiters. We must be interoperable across multiple ecosystems. We publish these same credentials across multiple networks, but we rely on the Velocity integration for the points that I mentioned earlier, as well as scalability and kind of the next generation of these credentials. And then we're the system of record for 10 states and require large adoptive infrastructures. There's a lot of startup networks out there that simply are not scalable, and Velocity has done a great job of decentralizing the management of their network, and we appreciate and align with that. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Andrew Consolo. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management at Jobvite. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person in New York City today, but I'm very excited to share with you our Apply with Velocity Wallet project. I think all of us in attendance would agree that the labor market is inefficient and that there are lots of opportunities to improve time to hire and time to fill by using verifiable data and credentials during the recruiting process. Our Apply with Velocity Wallet project has a few key ingredients. First, of course, you need the Velocity Network Foundation and its ecosystem of trusted vendors who can issue and inspect credentials. Next, we have a large US healthcare customer who wants to change the marketplace and has an opportunity to work with their talent acquisition technology partners such as Jobvite, as well as others. And they've identified a pilot ecosystem of some of their facilities in a specific geographic area, some high volume roles, some candidates who will be applying to those high volume roles, and credentialing issuers in that marketplace that can issue credentials to those candidates. In that pilot ecosystem, Posementer by Jobvite will offer those candidates an opportunity to start an application for a specific job using their credentials in their Velocity wallet. I'm going to show you what this user experience might look like. Starting with a QR code on a job application, the candidate can go to their wallet, scan the QR code, and then make a disclosure of credentials that they have in their wallet. They can choose which credentials, including identity, education, and work history, and they choose to share it with the company for a period of time for the purpose of a job application. Once that's disclosed, the candidate will continue on with their job application. They'll see the data that came from their verifiable credentials to populate the application form. They'll see their contact data, their work history details, and their education history details. And they'll be able to continue with the rest of the job application, including questions and compliance as well. So our timeline began early this year where we started design work and development work. By the end of July, we'll have our testnet integration complete. And by end of August, we'll be ready for the pilot and for that pilot group to begin some testing. And by the end of Q4, we hope to make this a generally available feature for any of our customers or to expand to different pilot zones. Thank you very much for your time and have a great time at the conference.
So we're just switching over the computers here. The next speaker is Dominic Baron. He's the co-founder and CEO of Walt Id. So we get on the screen to begin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Dominic. I don't know. You can't see anything.
Yeah, does it work?
You can now see
Hi, everyone. Great to see you. Are we using the microphone or that's the audio?
No, you're on the speaker. You're
Okay.
fine.
I cannot hear you. The most important thing is that you can hear me.
We hear us now, and it's all yours.
Perfect. So, pleasure to be here. Unfortunately, I couldn't come in person. Really tried, but I didn't get the visa. So now I'm here with Zoom. Thanks for Ethan and the team for making this happen. It's great. So I think I got roughly 10 minutes to talk about three things. That's what Ethan said to me. Who we are, what we do, and what our plans are with our collaboration with Velocity. So I've prepared some slides that I'd like to share. I guess you can see my slides now. Is that correct? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect, great. So what are we doing at Walt Id? So basically we unlock Web3 for enterprise by building open source identity and identity infrastructure. So that's in a nutshell. We're going to be diving a bit bit deeper, but before that, maybe let's talk briefly about the organization. So we're a remote company with global employee and customer base. We're headquartered in Vienna, Austria, which is where I'm sitting right now. With regards to the team, the people behind Walt Id are people with long experience in the identity space, and people who got early into Web3. We're also funded by one of Europe's largest VCs and growing quite quickly, which is also a sign that the whole SSI world is really getting traction over the last 1 or 2 years. With regards to the clients and types of organizations we're working with, we got basically clients everywhere. In the public sector, 50 European governments, working with our open source solutions, public authorities, local cities, multi-country consortia. But we also got various organizations in the private sector that we're collaborating with, from startups to scale-ups and enterprises and all types of verticals, including education, employment, marketplaces. So there's a lot of overlap with what Velocity Network is doing. You can also see some client logos further down below. So that's about us, but maybe more interestingly is what we're doing, our products, what do we offer. So today we have a quite diverse product portfolio of infrastructure products for developers and enterprises, but I will be focusing mostly on our identity product suite, namely the SSI kit, the wallet kit, and the storage kit. As far as I know, Ethan and the team did a great job in educating you so far about SSI. Many of you probably have been in that space for some years anyways, so I'm just going to skip over the SSI introduction and just talk about the offering that we have. Number one is the SSI kit. As far as I understand, there's similar component already occupied in the Velocity Network, or similar components related to credential issuance and verification. So I think you already have the concept in mind. At the end of the day, the SSI kit is an open source infrastructure for issuers, holders, and verifiers, broadly speaking. So you can digitize identity information, create verifiable credentials, issue them to someone else. There's an enterprise wallet, and you can also get credentials out of the wallet and verify them against customizable verification policies. So in a nutshell, you can build end-to-end use cases across different verticals based on its SSI infrastructure. Which brings me to the wallet kit. So the wallet kit is a bit different than the typical wallets you see out there in the market. And the main reason is because at Walt Id, we do not offer our own wallet in the App Store. You will never see a Walt Id wallet. On the contrary, what we're doing is we're partnering with existing providers of mostly consumer-facing apps to just enable their applications to handle verifiable credentials. So you can think about a wallet kit as something that extends your applications with the ability to handle verifiable credentials. In that sense, we're working, for example, with edtech companies that are launching student wallets, just as much as we're working with banks to extend their online banking apps with the capability to handle identity information by their clients. Finally, the storage kit. This is something that's, again, independent of the wallet itself. You can think about it as just a secure way of storing identity data, basically encrypted in a decentralized fashion. So you basically just encrypt it, chunk it, put it somewhere, and are able to give people access to it. So regardless of which wallet you're using, this is even something that you can use to just even enhance the existing wallets today. It can be the wallets you built in-house, can be the wallets by Velocity, or any other wallet. So this is the product offering that we're having, the open source product offering. And so now the question is, why do we work with Velocity? And what are our plans for the Velocity Network? So if it has not yet been clear yet, the main value that we deliver at Walt Id is that we provide this enterprise-grade open source abstraction layer partner. As most of you know, it's very, very difficult to interact with different blockchains, use different types of keys, bits, verifiable credential formats, and protocols. And this is where we come in. We just provide this one abstraction layer that makes it very easy to use different ecosystems and different SSI flavors. So jumping to the next slide, Velocity on the bottom left, you can see blue, marked blue, is one of the ecosystems that we are supporting next to, for example, the EPSI ecosystem in Europe, or the emerging EIDAS ecosystem, or let's say Web3 ecosystems like Ethereum or IOTA. So the idea is really that our stack enables multi-ecosystem support, next to it being open source and the fact that due to it's being based on open standards, having high interoperability, it also is designed very openly. So you can basically customize it with all types of third-party tools, including tools from other SSI solution providers, your existing HSM tools, and whatnot. The following graphic is basically just a different way of putting all of this together. It shows you where the different open source components that we offer are sitting and what they do. So the SSI kit, as described above, is typically on the side of the issuer and verifier. It's this enterprise component, whereas the wallet kit is on the side of the holder. And very often, an application that's actually being provided by the issuer or the verifier, but could also be a third party. Before jumping to the demo, how can this be used? What could you do to check it out and see if that's even interesting for you? So as I said before, everything we're doing is open source under the Apache 2 license, which basically means that you can take it, tweak it, modify it, publish it, do whatever you want with it. There's no strings attached. The main idea of this is to be public, that just facilitates the adoption of self-sovereign identity. However, if you want to get additional support, which many of our clients who are going for production services do, you can obviously get that. Either way, you can use our product, our open source products in self-managed fashion, which means you can deploy them, run and maintain them in your own cloud environment, on-premise. You can use them as microservices, so basically as a black box, or directly with your existing applications. We even have white label solutions for certain components like issuance and verifier portals or a web-based app. And in the future, everything will become even easier because we are planning to launch a cloud platform sometime next year that will allow you to get everything as a managed service. So you don't need to take care of this critical infrastructure yourself if you don't want to. We're already offering this to selected clients today, but in the future there will be this multi-tenancy cloud platform too. So now, the final thing that Ethan asked me to do, the demo. So I heard before, and I think I didn't hear wrong, that there was a web wallet demonstration, which is quite uncommon. Most of the demonstrations are mobile wallets, but I also decided to show you a web-based flow because number one, I'm far away from you, and so it's much easier to just have one screen instead of two, and number two, I thought that maybe this is something new to you that you have not seen before. So let's check it out. So the demo I'm showing you shows the complete flow from issuance to verification of credentials. So we're moving from an issuer creates verified credentials, puts them into a wallet or someone else, who then presents it to a verifier. What you can see here is the demo issuer portal. Since we're often talking about education and fund-related use cases, let's just assume that this is the university portal where I'm logging in. So they already know me. So I'm logging in, and what I'm requesting is my identity document and identity profile. So I confirm this. Now I'm redirected to a wallet. I could now just sign up or sign in depending on whether I have a wallet or not. So I'll just take this email address and hope I never used it before. Let's do it like this. I log in. So what you can see is that I got this presentation request from the issuer portal. I can review this credentials. This is obviously just sample data. And then I can reject or accept the credentials. So in this case, I accept them. I got them in my wallet. I can review them. I can copy them, delete them, do whatever I want with them. Here, I'd like to say that what you're seeing is just a demo user interface. We, as briefly described before, are not really building applications for a specific vertical. Typically, our clients do that. So we are just enabling the very difficult low-level operations related to SSI. Anyways, this is also available as a white label solution. So I now got the credentials in my wallet. What I'm doing now is I go to a verifier part. So let's assume this could be, let's say, a website where I apply for a job, right? And so there would be information about the job, and then I would be basically clicking on a button that says Connect Wallet or provide credentials or whatever it may be. So in this case, this verifier demo portal requests the requests the presentation of the verifiable ID, which I pushed into my wallet before. So once I click here, I'm again redirected since I just authenticated a minute ago. I'm still logged in here. It shows which document is requested. I share it. It's being pushed to the verifier and verified against the set of customizable policies, which you can see here. And you can also see more technical information about the type of bits we used and the session token. You can also try this demo yourself at home or wherever you are. You can find more information on our website. If you click this Get Started button, everything you need is here. Or you just go to a verifier default ID, issue a default ID, and you can try it yourself. For now, that was my presentation. I hope I stayed in the 10 minutes. And if you want to connect afterwards, please feel free to do so. You can find the contact QR code on the left, the book meeting link in the middle, and the Select Developer Workspace QR code on the right-hand side. Feel free to use them. I'd be happy to catch up and have a great stay in New York and a great rest of the day.
One really important presentation by Chivo, who's up at the evening in Barcelona. I just want to say that I think that the partnership with Walt Id is really critical. Not only because Walt Id doing amazing stuff, but also because we keep saying the Velocity Network is not a technology, it's a set of protocols, it's a collaborative industry effort. And up till now, everyone's been experiencing a very specific set of technologies that Velocity Career Labs has built and made available orally free to all the members. But now there's, very soon, as Dominique releases all the work that they've been doing, there are other alternatives. And the whole idea here is that you can not only choose to enjoy the benefits of an open, interoperable network, but you can also choose different technologies, as long as they comply with our compliance, our protocols, the principles that the network is about. This isn't a technology, it's really an open ecosystem. And this is our first additional technology. SSI can be parallel to our credential agent, and Wallet can be parallel to the SDK that Velocity Career Labs offers, as another alternative for all of you and everybody else to choose from and open up the ecosystem for more choice. And we encourage other developers, other technologies to be part of this as well. Thank you, Dominique. Shivo. Let me show. What did you do next? Did you show that? Shivo, say something so we can hear you. It doesn't hear a word. Shivo, we see you. Do you hear us? You're muted.
Now I can. Yeah.
Perfect. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're on screen and everyone sees you and hears you.
All right. So, shall I start? Okay. So, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And as Dominique, first of all, my apologies for not being here. I was physically today, so I couldn't get through the proof of vaccination. What I have is not enough to get into the States, so sorry about that. But I'm glad at least that this new normal is allowing me to contribute to this incredible meeting. So congratulations to Dror, Ethan, and the entire team of Velocity to make it possible. So for maybe those of you who don't know much about Randstad, let me probably share that, well, Randstad was founded in 1960, and we are the world's largest HR services provider and one of the market leaders in the States, in the US. In 2021, we helped more than 2 million people find a job. We advised more than 235,000 clients, and we delivered training to over 450,000 people. Also in 21, we had on average 40,000 corporate employees, and we generated revenue of almost 25 million euros, or almost dollars, as the dollar is today. And yeah, I think that what I'm planning to do today is also share with you what brought us into Velocity, share with you a demo of a platform we have developed in testnet to allow us to be more agile, if you will, in joining POCs and keep learning from this ecosystem and the possibilities of the ecosystem. And also I will finish then with sharing some learnings as well and giving, if I may, a few tips and tricks or piece of advice on how to move forward. But I always like to start maybe saying that our founder, Fritz Wolfgang, in 1960, he was the guy who placed the first ever Randstad and she even wrote with him on his life to the workplace. So I'm talking about 1960. And obviously more than 60 years later, we are placing more than 700,000 people every day in meaningful jobs with the same passion and dedication. We don't use bicycles anymore, or at least not the majority of us. But as you can guess, things have changed quite a bit. And although in essence our mission and goal hasn't changed that much, we have seen how little by little in the first, let's say, big 5 decades, technology was, adding value, but not that much. But as many of you in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, technology has been playing an incredible revolution in our industry. And it's clear that technology plays a key role, not just in order to get more efficiencies and productivity, which are very important, but also to make sure that we can stand out from the crowd by the experience that we are delivering to both, talent, the candidate, and the organization, our clients. And we try to combine the best of tech with our human-led approach. We call it tech and touch, and Velocity is clearly one of the key strategic initiatives that will remove friction on the job application process, which is really painful. And I'm sure that, even if you did it 30 years ago or 20 years ago, using a written CD and going to the post office and sending your CD, or just starting today using job boards or digital platforms, the job application process still offers a lot of friction and the experience is not great at all. But also, I think one of the biggest pains, if you will, in our industry and for any of you who is busy recruiting talent, is that we have been relying on self-reported data. Self-reported data which is provided by the applicants, and that requires big effort on validation, screening, and certification. I think we just heard from Jobvite that it can take weeks before you can validate successfully a candidate. Obviously, that's something you lose 700,000 times a day. You can already calculate potential cost savings. But obviously, and especially with the work we do on a daily basis, we are all, I guess, well aware of the cost of a black hire. And we strongly believe as well that Velocity, the Internet of Careers, is setting a new foundation for improving not just the job and talent seeking experience, but also to be able to inspect and use these verifiable credentials from candidates who will be using their digital wallet. And that's going to improve definitely our speed to market. I also heard before time to field, that's obviously one of our key core KPIs, if you will. But also something that we are especially passionate about is that we can also help applicants, candidates, talent in general to enrich their profiles by issuing our own generated credentials from the back of the skills that we are assessing, the employment experience they get with us, achievements, badges, and professional training. I think that in a few words, it will allow us to make our candidates more employable and build longer working life relationships, which is a strong reason why we decided to join Velocity and become, as Dror always says, one of the first trailblazers of this ecosystem. In the last months, we've been working with Velocity in two main work streams. One as a node operator since December 2021, and also on a platform, as I said before, that will enable us to bring this capability from a concept or from a theory to a reality. I'd love to show you our most recent work. It's a 3-minute video or demo, and after that, I would love to share some of our learnings. So, we can play video, please.
At Randstad, we are committed to providing the best possible experience to talent and organizations at scale. Welcome to our Velocity ecosystem. The sourcing and recruitment process is complex and led by the job openings that candidates can apply to. The candidates apply by using their self-reported resumes, CVs, and profiles that often require lengthy and expensive validation processes. What if we could rely on digital verifiable credentials that inform us about the candidate's education, employment records, skills, achievements, assessments, and background checks? And what if we could enrich their profiles by issuing credentials of the work experience and training they have obtained with us? Our Velocity Internet of Careers is the ecosystem to make this possible. Here at Randstad, we have developed an environment using OutSystems with front and back office applications to inspect and issue credentials to and from our talent. So, how does it work? Our back office is where we create a position. We compose a disclosure that connects with Velocity's credential agent and generates a QR code that will be shown on our website. Our job board then shows the job we just created. Adam, for example, is interested in the job. As he clicks on the job, he sees the QR code and uses his wallet to apply for it. All set. Credentials have been shared and Adam has successfully applied for this job. Now, when we go back to the recruiter portal, we can see that Adam has applied and shared all the required credentials in a friendly and accessible CV format that has been automatically created. Not too bad, eh? Now let's see how Randstad adds value to their candidates too. When Adam has finished his assignment, our recruiter portal produces a credential and lets Adam know he can claim it from his wallet. At Randstad, we are currently looking at the best of technology to support our human-forward approach to our talent and our companies. With the Randstad Velocity ecosystem, we offer significant productivity gains, higher efficiency, and better service for our clients while removing the friction from the candidate experience. So watch this space. There is so much more to come.
Thank you. Well, I hope that demo gives you a taste of the progress that we are making. The platform will definitely allow us to participate in more POCs faster and further, as we are doing with the three largest banks in the Netherlands, especially around two use cases, one related to identity and the other one on pre-screening services. And our next, if you will, immediate steps are around integrations with our CRM and especially our applicant tracking system to automate both inspection and issuing events while keep inviting more key clients, if you will, and partners to embrace Velocity's ecosystem. On the other hand, and I love what AON has shared with us, we are also exploring internal adoption with our own corporate employees issuing credentials that will support internal mobility and access to the different training programs that we have in place. Well, I think it's been a bit of a journey, and some of my personal and professional key learnings, I think that can be summarized in one single statement. And I've heard something like this before as well. Yeah, you can get lost in the super high technology, right, behind the velocity and the ecosystem and blockchain and SSI and all of that. But I have to say that at the end of the day, maybe thanks to Andres and the Velocities team and also my tech colleagues in the company, at the end of the day, technology is easy. The real hard thing is to drive the change management that you need within your company. I think as Yoko said before, we've gone through pretty much a very similar experience. And I think that to me, the most important thing, if you will, is to have a clear understanding of the problems that Velocity will solve for your organization, for your customers. Make sure that you have a strong business case and also a very, let's say, digestible, if that's the right word, story to bring all the key stakeholders together. It's not just about the senior leadership. I mean, you need them, right? But it's also about legal, it's about compliance, it's about all the other important functions in the organization. But yeah, something I'm extremely excited about is that although this is a new, very new world for most of us, and we don't have, the opportunity to create a future like this every day. So that's something that is driving us, and it's helping us to tackle most of the issues. If I can choose just one issue, at least within my own organization, is the lack of sense of urgency, if you know what I mean. So people love this, people like the idea of verifiable credentials. They understand, I think, the essence of what we can do and benefit from Velocity, but they don't see it happening tomorrow. And that's probably the big challenge. So it's either you want to be an innovator, either you want to be an early adopter, or you just want to be a follower. As a market leader ourselves, we have to be at the forefront of this race. So we don't have any options. My last 3 things, and if you can, probably take it away from my, or take it as a takeaway from my 10 minutes, is make sure that, as Yoko said before, bring your senior leadership into the story. Start small, make sure that you narrow your use case as much as you can, and bring your key clients, your marquee clients to this journey. I'm really surprised how happy they are to be part of this movement, how happy they are to understand a little bit more, and they are always keen to get more, let's say, to have a bit of be ahead of the game, especially in this field for large employers. So I think that's all from me. Probably I should finish saying that, as you all know, we have this more than 1 million people that move jobs every year, and with big resignation going on, new ways of organizing the workforce, the gig economy, remote work, we are all in this critical war for talent, if you will. It's not just about the talent scarcity, but also the talent attraction. So verifying that they are who they say they are adds an amazing competitive advantage to this process. So thanks for listening. I wish you a great conference ahead. And again, sorry for not being here in person. I would love to share